What's up, marketing legends, and welcome to another episode of the Growth Colony podcast. I'm producer Liza from X Growth to tell you that each episode we bring in B2B leaders to chat about how you can achieve those everyday wins in the marketing world. Whether you're new to the B2B game, working at a leadership level, or even just showing some interest, we know you'll love the episode. So wherever you are, get comfy and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Growth Colony. Today, we have a special guest, the third time on the podcast, Nick Sheehan, the founder and CEO of efex, one of Australia's largest IT services companies. Since launching efex in 2013 from a small office in North Sydney, Nick has transformed the company into a powerhouse that now supports over 6,000 businesses across Australia. With a keen eye for untapped opportunities, particularly in the regional areas of Australia, he has led efex through significant growth, including multiple strategic acquisitions that have expanded its footprint and service offerings. Nick is not just a visionary leader, he believes in the power of technology to simplify operations for small to medium-sized enterprises. His commitment to providing flexible and robust solutions has earned efex accolades such as being named on the AFR BRW Fast Starter list and the CRN Fast 50 awards. In this episode, we'll dive into Nick's journey, exploring his insights on growth through mergers and acquisitions, and discuss how he maintains a strong company culture while scaling rapidly. Join us as we uncover the lessons learned along the way and what the future holds for efex. Nick, thanks for coming on the podcast again.
Thanks for having me back for the third time. I actually thought it was the second time, but
I mean, it has been a while. It has been a while. I think the first time was either 2021 or 2020.
Yeah.
Right when COVID hit, and it's the first time that we meet in person, and we've tried to kind of arrange this for since then, about 4 years ago. And
it's funny when you meet people, like we've never met in person.
No,
but like I feel like I know you guys well.
I had the same expectation, not expectation, same realization. I saw you in the cafe. I was like, Nick, but we'd never met before. So it's awesome to have you on the podcast again. So the company started in 2013. Right from the get-go, you started acquiring companies. If I'm not mistaken, the first acquisition was a company called Panaquip. Is that right? It was
like 15,
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah.
Acquisitions is not something that comes natural to business owners. Like when I started business, I wasn't like, we gotta acquire more businesses to kind of grow. A lot of business owners are like, I got to grind, grow this baby on my own. Maybe we open another office here, there. What was that trigger for you that you're like, no, I gotta really focus on acquisition? Because just for context for the audience, I mean, I've looked up some names, but I think there are more. I mean, I have 2015, 2018, 2019. There are a bunch of other acquisitions that has happened even more recently. My question, the first question I want to ask you is, what was that trigger for you to go and say, I need to grow the business and I'm going to look at acquisition as one of the main drivers for growing the business?
It's relatively or reasonably industry specific. I think there's industries that are scalable and that lend themselves to what I would call or what we would call buy and build. So that's the way you can tell that we've had private equity some private equity ownership now because I use all these buzzwords, but buy and build as a strategy is something that we embarked on before I even knew what buy and build was. Like the basis for buy and build is you've got a business that lends itself to scale. You can do that two ways. You can go on the journey on your own, that's fine, but it might take you 20 years. And by the time and that's fine. Like everyone has different goals. My goal wasn't to still be here in 20 years' time. Not because I don't love the business, but because
patience.
Well,
you got to get this going.
Yeah, and I think there'll just be an evolutionary aspect to the industry that I'm in. Like going off on a tangent already, like you and I, we always do, but like our world changes so significantly that like I don't have time to build a business for 20 years. Like our business will be different in 2 years because of things like, machine learning and AI and all this stuff. Like, our industry is just like exploding, absolutely exploding. So therefore, the needs of the people we serve are going to rapidly evolve. Therefore, there is a massive, massive opportunity for us to create momentum through acquisition and more so from a pure financial perspective and from a value creation perspective, value through arbitrage. What that means is, if you have something of scale, if you've built something of scale, which means if you've got something that's big, someone will put a value on that. And typically, the bigger that thing is, the larger the value they attribute.
The multiple.
Is, yeah, of course. When you're buying things that are smaller, you're not paying that same multiple. That's called an arbitrage. So the difference between what I'm paying and what I'm paying and what I think I'm worth, that's the arbitrage.
So you bring one in, you bring it, you pay a 3 multiple, but the moment that it becomes part of the company, that's a 6 multiple.
9 multiple, 12 multiple, whatever the number is. Like,
right.
So without sort of putting the engineering before the thesis or putting the engineering before the strategy, like they've got to go together. There's this another term that gets spoken about all the time is these, there's this thing like don't be a deal junkie. It was just talked to me, and like a guy who's listening to this podcast, who's actually our chairman, is a wonderful friend of mine. We had this conversation, not in particular about me, but just in particular about certain behaviours. And like you got guys out there who are deal junkies. Now, what does that mean? Like just buy things for buying things' sake. Like there's better ways to spend your money, and there's better ways to spend your time because these things aren't always easy. So you've got to buy things because they're accretive, so they make you better than what you are now. That could be capability, that could be earnings, that could be services, that could be geography, that could be a variety of all those things. But buying things for buying things' sake is clearly a waste of money.
Did you have experience buying businesses before FX?
No. But that I think we've spoken this before is like a bit of naivety is actually the greatest thing that you can ever have. Like without a bit of naivety, like you actually wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. Like you've got to have a bit of naivety. You've got to have a bit of. People are scared of everything. Like yes, and I think that comes from this fear of failure thing. Like everyone's scared of failing and like, I'll buy something and it'll fail. Yeah, but like, the first thing you like, I'm no psychologist, but like, the first thing you'll go and see a psychologist and you'll say all these bad things are going to happen. And what the psychologist will say to you? What if the opposite happened? What if a good thing happened? Like you can focus on what would happen if a negative impact came of a situation, but there's an equal chance of a positive situation coming your way. So, I think back to that word, like, no, I think I had a bit of general naivety and a bit of probably a bit of a nose for the things that made sense to our business. Yeah. And I think for me that hasn't changed throughout the years. Like,
clearly not.
Well, our capability and our strategy has evolved. Like we have the most talented people in this company that I've ever worked / dealt with. Like I go to work actually now and I am in awe of the people that I work with and how good they are. Like, and to your comment in the, cafes, they are way better than me. And, as you grow, I think this thing that people say all the time, just surround yourself with great people, that's like this, buzzword bullshit, like surround yourself with great people. Like, yeah. The person that is in the middle of all those people, like you've got to have the drive and the vision and the non-negotiable aspect of we're going to get here. I'm negotiable. I'm not negotiable on the outcome. I'm negotiable on the way we get there. But the truth is that as you get bigger in a business and as you acquire companies, you end up surrounding yourself with people that inspire you. And that's what's happened at FX. Like, I go to work every day with people that work just as hard as me and that care just as much as I do and are way more talented than me. So
one of the things that we previously spoke about is you talked about the steps that a business goes through. We touched on how an organization will go through these jumps, and it would go through maybe moderate growth and then another jump.
Yeah.
And those jumps are extremely difficult and requires change of mentality, change of behavior, especially for the founder. As the organization has grown, let's say in the past 5 years, I'm interested to know how you have changed your attitude, how you change your behavior, how your role has evolved from, let's say, 5-7 years ago to today, and how did you have to transform in order to be able to operate today's business?
I think that I've been extremely fortunate that from day one, I had a discrete set of skills, and the bigger the business has got, the more important those particular skills have become.
Tell me about those skills.
Well, it can go the other way. And this is what happens in business. Like you'll have a founder who will take the business to a certain level and go, you know what, like, I'm not the guy to take it to the next level. Like, it feels to me like, and it sounds narcissistic to say, and it screams of lack of self-awareness, but I'll say it anyway from the pure point that I think it's correct. But like, I think the bigger the business gets, the more the business needs articulation of vision, purpose, strategy, drive, outcomes, focus on talent, focus on capability, focus on training, focus on people, focus on problems, focus on how we make all these people better at their jobs and how we express to them that we really care about them. So those soft skills that perhaps have always been there, like, that they seem to be more relevant now than they ever have. Now, is that because of the size of our business? Is it because of the industry we're in? Is it because of diversity of geography? Is it because of complexity? I can't answer that. But what I would say is the bigger the business gets, the more the communicative aspects of my role have become more critical. And internally, that's definitely the case. But back to, some of the topics of the podcast, like from an M&A perspective, from a, PE, private investment, public investment, growth, telling the story of the business, like, those skills become actually paramount. Like, if you can't, what's that Einstein thing? Like, if you can't articulate, something simply, you probably don't know it well enough yourself. And I think that theory is so true. So, look, I think from the beginning, I had a sales and a growth background, and I think that has served our business well because we've been able to solve for the technical aspects of what we do. And
that will be outside of your skills.
Correct.
Right?
Completely outside of my skills. And back to my point where I say, I have this respect, for these people. I have this respect for these people. I can't tell you how important, the fact is that people deal with FX for a variety of reasons, but 80%, in my view, of the reason people deal with FX is because they deal with people who are immeasurably technically brilliant, and they're really nice people and they care. So therefore, it's they are the flywheel that keeps the business growing. Do you know what I mean? It's not back in the first 5 years, it was like sales. Let's just sell. More we sell, better we are. More we sell, bigger we are. Growth. We still want to do that. Growth's really important. But the things that make you grow the inputs that make you grow, the critical things in your business change. And for us, it's been those technical people who solve really critical problems for our customers.
So as scaling, soft skills have been very important, right? What, for you specifically, what were some of the skills that you struggled with that you still had to have, but you had to work on developing that?
Like there's this thing, and I talk about, it's like, when you do hard things, you have an easy life. And when you do easy things, you have a hard life. People pleasing was part of my personality. It made me good at what I did. It made me a good salesperson. It made me, strong at revenue. It made me strong at growth. Pleasing, chasing, having that sort of mindset. Like if you say yes to everyone, you go broke. So for me, it's been developing an ability or an increased ability to say no. Like I think no is the most powerful word you can say, and I think the thread from no and the thread from having a mindset where you like, we have this thing where I say like, find a way to say yes.
What is it?
Find a way to say yes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I think that's a great mindset to have, like in life, just in general. Like find a way to say yes. Like find a way to take a risk, take an opportunity, do something, move forward. Clearly, if you say yes to everything, you go broke. So for me, it's been learning how to say no, learning how to have hard conversations, but learning how to have hard conversations in a way where, you can still get good outcomes. Like that's been, I think, the major journey that I've had to go on in, say, the last 5 years as the business has grown. It's like, you can't say yes to everything, have to say no to a lot of things. How do I say no to a lot of things but still get good outcomes for the people who I'm saying no to? Like,
did you have to build that skill just through necessity, or did you approach it systematically? Did you get a coach? How did you go about? Because it's hard. Yeah. Like, and you hear it all the time. Like everybody gives that advice of like, you got to be able to say no more often. Yeah. How did you approach that? Again, you might just say, man, there were just too much thing going on, and I had to start saying no. Or there might have been a different way that you built that skill.
Like that thing about easy and hard. Easy, do easy things, have a hard life. Do hard things, have an easy life. Like I think personal growth, which means I'm better today than I was yesterday, like is best delivered when it's born by necessity. Like, where the what's that thing? The weight that you voluntarily take on, makes you a better person. Like the more weight you take on, the better you are. Like, you can listen, like, there's 1,000 people out there who do self-help stuff, but like, some of these basic kernels of truth, and that's what they are, they're truth, that I think, in life, we're all told, oh, you got to be happy, you got to be happy, you got to be happy. Like, that's complete bullshit. Like, what we all need to find is some meaning in our lives. Like, do something, find something hard to do. That's what we all need to do, is find something really hard to do. Because when you do something really hard and you achieve something, like when you do something that's really hard and you do it consistently, that's satisfying. Like that's meaningful.
How does that come back to building the skill for saying no?
Well, it's born by necessity. If you don't, it's binary. If you don't, you will never be any better than what you were at that particular point. This business could never be any bigger than, it would get to a point where like, it's a treadmill. Everyone's on the treadmill. And I think also, leadership is not about saying yes. Like leadership is about being strong, and leadership is about having high conviction, and leadership is about, I think, making a decision, whether that's right or wrong, is far, 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 far more important than being a procrastinator and sitting there and, waiting for the next wave. So for me, working on that part of my, you'd say personality, I mean, it's all the same. Personality, way I operate at work, way I operate in my personal life, like hard things, easy life.
I love that.
Easy things, like, trust me, Do easy things, don't do hard things. You'll have a real, things are really hard. So, the more I've just focused on being okay to have hard conversations, being okay to be direct and forthright, not being afraid to upset people. All those things go to that people-pleasing aspect of, my personality that I think comes back to being honest with yourself, I want
to come back. I want to come back to hard things. Okay. Yeah. But before I do that, let's revisit the conversation around acquisitions. I want to hear about mistakes you've made when it comes to acquisition, because again, we were just chatting before we start recording, and you talked about it's been 13, 14, 15 acquisitions that efex have gone through. What are the mistakes that you've made when you've gone through some of these?
I think the greatest mistake you can make is going too fast. Like, when I say too fast,
I feel like that's hard coming from you.
It is,
because I feel like you move really fast.
Yeah, and that's a learning. Like, the best outcomes we've derived are when we as a business have taken time post-acquisition to actually understand what we've bought, to understand the people, to understand the customers, to understand the founders, to, look at the picture a bit more holistically. Because I think the problem becomes when you are doing a deal, there are two parts. There's probably three parts. There are, getting an understanding of the business. When you're not in the business, like, I don't care how much DD you do, like, that is going to be limited. Like, you cannot understand a business until you're in there and you're dealing with the problems and the, people on a day-to-day basis. So that's the first thing. So you do your best to understand the business. But, like, that's, you're David Copperfield if you think that, you know that you're going to know that part of this matrix 10 out of 10 on day one, because you're not. At best, it's an intuition game.
That's number one.
Yeah. Number two, once you are in there, it's you need to spend time, and not focus on data. So part one is understand the business, understand all those things. Now that's qualitative and that's quantitative. So what we'll tend to do is focus on the quantitative, which is like the data, the numbers. Like, you focus on that stuff, and you're running the business based on that. The problem becomes that businesses aren't just people and numbers and contracts and customers. Like, there is a bigger dimension to what you've bought. You've bought history. You've bought past, you've bought future, you've bought people's aspirations, you've bought customers' aspirations, you've bought customers' happiness, you bought customers' sadness, you bought all this stuff that, like, is intangible and you actually don't know. So rule number one is, like, do as much baseline work as you can. Rule number two is spend time once you're in there. And I think rule number three is, like, don't go too quick / do no harm. That's, I think, rule number one, like, when you're doing deals. Like, my three rules for deals these days are, it's actually two rules, three into two, but, like, rule number one, do no harm. Rule number two, if you look after the people, they look after the customers. So if you don't lose people, you don't lose customers. So that goes against, like, the private equity playbook or the playbook. Oh, you've got to get in there and, like, synergize everything, and you've got 2 jobs there and 2 jobs there and 2 jobs there and 4 jobs there, and, like, rip people out and change this and change that, and, like, you've got to do all that in the first month, because you're going to turn that million.
That's the usual playbook, right?
Well, it's just bullshit. It doesn't work, and you just ruin things. And I've done it. I've done it. I did it. I've done it. I'm going to say ruin things. Like, nothing is irreparable, or nothing is, I've been lucky that I've learned a lot through doing. But, like, just like, take your time and do no harm and look after the people. And if you do that, like, the outcomes flow, and, time is a force multiplier with these things. Again, back to that private equity playbook. Like, everyone talks about this, this term, IRR, like, your internal rate return. Like we're always talking, not we're always talking, but like people are always talking about IRR. IRR depends on speed. Like you need speed to build, to develop strong IRR, because it's like the amount of return you can develop in a shorter amount of time as possible. But like there's this risk factor to that. And that's the thing, I think, when you're building a growth business, when you're doing acquisitions, like IRR is great, and you should always be focused on what the business looks like externally. Like that external view is important, and that's been the big thing that I've enjoyed about having external ownership equity. Like I've learned about how people think about our business and what's most important. But like, if you want to get these things right, like you're going to spend a lot of money. Like we're spending a lot of money at the moment. We've spent a lot of money in the past, but we're spending a lot of money at the moment. And like, the easiest way to burn that money is to not pay enough attention to the things that actually matter, which are do no harm, and then look after the people. They look after the customers. Yeah. I mean, it's like all this stuff sounds basic, and like everyone, people listening to this podcast,
well, the basic stuff are usually hard to implement.
So hard, it's hard.
It's fine to kind of say it, and everyone will go like, "Oh, this is basic," but
it's so hard. Like people are hard. Like we've got over 300 people now. Like, and the hard thing with our business is those 300 people are dispersed over 22 different places in Australia. Like,
wow. It's
not like I can just call an all staff meeting and like get everyone in a room and like, okay, this is what we do. Like we do that, but like it's harder to do over, we do it over Teams and stuff. But I think hence why that really clear articulation of strategy is important, because when you're dealing with people over a huge geography with different skills, all that stuff, like they need to know where we're going. They want to know where we're going, and so the biggest lesson I've learned is like that it's okay to go slow. At some level, all business is a people business.
Do you think you say it's okay to go slow because in your nature you move too fast? Because there are people who move very slow, and things just
nothing changes.
Way too slow, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's specifically for you because you move too fast, and therefore you're like, I gotta slow down, where somebody else might have to be like, I need to speed up? What are your thoughts on that?
Totally. What you said's right. Like it may be a personal thing. I think that.
And just for a little bit of context, sorry to interrupt you. The reason I ask this is because one of the things, my background is engineering, right? And I tend to like sit down, analyze, look at all the different variables, right? So for one of my mantras is you need to move faster. Like speed needs to be as one of your values, because innately I tend to want to take my time and analyze things, right? So therefore I'm like, you just got to move faster, more repetitions, right? So that's why I'm asking this question.
Yeah. Like speed is one of my personal like values. Like I think, life more or less becomes, a time versus money equation. Like I don't mean that in not trying to be ruthless. Like it's not, probably can be ruthless in that sense. Like, I value my time, and I would gladly buy time, and so, but I think yes, it is. Yes, it has to do with how fast we go at work. Like no question. I think the thing that makes us an attractive business, just in general, is the fact that we do go fast. Like a lot of companies out there that we compete against, like again, the founders, the people that run those businesses are from engineering style technical backgrounds. Like then they have different outlooks than me. So I think that's a strength that we have, that I'm not all that technical at all. So yeah, it's definitely something that would be personal, but I think it's also something that just everyone who's doing M&A or everyone that's thinking about M&A needs to come to grips with, is that you have to be doing this for a purpose. And if you're going to do something for a purpose, it's got to have a time frame.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So like that's where it gets interesting because everyone's time frame will be different. You know, the way you fund these things, there's a capital outlay to them. You know, there's a model that is attached to them which says, you're gonna get some money, you're gonna pay the money back. There's got to be a difference between the amount of interest you pay the bank and the amount of money that this thing makes on a, the bigger you get, the more that stuff is actually critical. So speed is important, but what's more important in our business and in our stage of growth is people. And, I would categorically walk away from a business that I did not feel was culturally accretive to what we're doing. The risk now is too great. And if I had my time again on a couple of deals,
walk away.
I think so. I think it's easy to say, with hindsight, and I think experience gives you the ability to have these conversations. But I think that they are a lot of work anyway. Like any deal's a lot of work. Like a little deal's a lot of work. Like a big deal's a lot of work. Like we've done 3 deals in the last 4 months, and we're going to do 3 deals between now and Christmas.
Jesus.
But the basis for that is we chase unicorns for the last 18 months. Strategy was always, let's buy and build. And we looked at some really big opportunities in 22 and 23, big.
That was after the PE
correct
injection.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we did a deal on which was transformative when we took on that investment, and that was a hard deal, and so that
hard. How so? Can we talk about it?
Yeah, it's we can totally talk about it. Like, just culturally was really hard. When businesses are being sold, I think there's a variety of reasons why they're being sold, and I think it's important to understand at its core the motivations for people who are selling their businesses. And I think if you understand that, and I think if you can...
Are we still talking about 2022, the 50%? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Did you mean that was hard, or are you talking?
No, we did an acquisition post that. So
I see.
Yeah, it was a really hard deal. And so, look, we've it's been good. It's good now, but it took
a lot of effort.
It's a couple of years. It's been a couple of years of hard work. So I wouldn't change anything. But doing deals for the sake of doing deals is not good business. And when you actually put this stuff into some sort of meaningful financial model, or when you actually look back on it with hindsight, beyond the warm and fuzzy stuff, when you actually look at it, on how important that deal was, I think the decisions you make have got to stand the test of time. And if you work hard enough, it'll be fine. You'll always be okay. But of course, we've all got regrets, or we've all got things that we'd probably change if we could
go back.
Yeah.
I want to come back.
Yeah, sure.
Talk about hard things. I want to touch on buying time. You have a 3-year-old son. I have a 3 months old. He's just 4 months now. Tell me a little bit about how becoming a dad impacted business and you.
I didn't grow up until I was 38. And I think growing businesses and doing what we've done at FX has taken an enormous personal toll, in other areas of my life. And I think we spoke about that on a previous chat in relation to some relationships and things that, didn't work out. And that's fine. But I think when you have a child, there is something that is actually way more important than you that now exists. And I think for a lot of guys that go through the process, that you've been through and I've been through, it's like, I think typically, we don't have that, 9 months of, maternal attachment that that your partner or a wife or a woman has. And so sometimes when that event happens, it's a culture shock. It's a change. And for someone, for me, I was 38 when that happened. And 38. And if you think about that in the context of FX, for 8 or 9 years prior to that, I don't think about myself as being a selfish person, but clearly, there has to be selfish aspects to your behaviour for you to be so focused on one thing and one thing only, and be binary about your relationship with success. There's no one will tell, anyone, and I'm not successful, but anyone who is successful will tell you that they're bad at so much stuff because they're successful at something else. I haven't met anyone that's just unbelievable at every different part of their life. And if they are unbelievable, if they think they're unbelievable at every part of their life, they're probably actually mediocre, is the truth. You're actually not brilliant at anything. And so back to the question, what it taught me is that there was something that I had to prioritize that was bigger than me. There was something that I had to prioritize which was bigger than the business. There was something that was actually way more important than both those things put together. And so, I would openly say that I didn't actually grow up until, that event happened. And it's been a personal roller coaster since. But I do it all again 10 times over because it's been the greatest thing that's ever happened. And I think to draw that back to leadership order, I'm probably a way different person at work because of it too.
Well, I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Right. I was going to ask how. Obviously, there has been an impact from you prioritizing your time. There has been an impact from your travel schedule, from what I hear.
Yeah.
What would you say is having a kid? What impact having a kid has had on the way
Life,
that you run FX or your leadership approach, whatever it is? But in the context of FX, how has having a kid changed that?
It makes you become completely non-negotiable with your time. I'm non-negotiable about my time with him. And I say that, like I said to you before, I have him, on a Wednesday afternoon and he's in Adelaide. So, I'm in Adelaide every Wednesday afternoon. And that means I'll be in Sydney Monday, Tuesday, I'll fly back, I'll have him on Wednesday, I'll fly out of Adelaide on Wednesday night. That's a personal discipline that has been unbelievable for me, has been unbelievable for our relationship, and I think has also just probably closed my focus around the things in my life that I'm non-negotiable about. So those two things are, him and my ability to do a good job at work. I think both those things are, for me, I just don't, there's no, you don't fail. There's no such, it's zeros and ones, you just don't fail. So it's made me a better leader at work because I'm far more focused, because I'm actually either doing A or doing B. I don't have a lot of time, and that's okay, because back to that conversation earlier about, things that are meaningful, these two things are unbelievably meaningful, and James, my son, far more meaningful than FX, but they're in a bucket that sits above everything else. Your life, my life's completely changed. If you think about what I would be doing 3 years ago as opposed to what I'm doing today, I do one of two things effectively, and have never been happier doing one of those two things, and particularly my time with him. I think at work I'm probably just generally. I think it gives you a perspective on some of the struggles that people have.
Tell me more about that.
I think I'm probably reticent to talk about feelings, because I think that's part of the problem in the world at the moment, is we all talk about feelings too much. our predecessors, people that have, went through wars and like really, really, really hard things, like, we talk about hard things in today's world, and it's part of what you guys talk about with a lot of people is hard things. Like, this is not hard.
Perspective.
Like, seriously, come on. Like, watch a few, watch some documentaries on World War II. Like, watch some documentaries on World War One. Like, think about your grandparents and the hardships they went through. Like, think about some of the things going on in the world at the moment. Like, mate, this is not hard. This is easy. Like, we have it so easy. Yeah, we've got to navigate stuff, don't get me wrong, but
it's like, what is the worst thing that could happen? And when you think about that, it's like, it's nothing compared to what worst case could be for some other people.
Oh, there's this saying, I heard is like, think about what worse luck your bad luck has saved you from.
Wait, repeat that again.
Think about what worse luck your bad luck has saved you from. So the thesis of that saying is like, like something bad might have happened, but if that bad thing didn't happen, I mean, things can always be worse. Like, there's actually no metaphysical limit to how bad things could be if you get things wrong, So I guess to the point is like, what having a child has done for me is probably opened up my eyes to, some of the struggles people have, in dealing with life, and I think balancing children, balancing work commitments, balancing relationships, balancing, cost of living pressures, balancing, there's 15 things that, most people who are listening to this stuff will be thinking about every day. I think just to put all that into context though, like, we are the luckiest generation of people that has ever walked the earth, and I think we need to all at times sit back and
put that
just sit with that a little bit, like, none of this stuff's hard. We compared to things that are going on in the world today, struggles that people are facing, existential threats that people are under, the lives that people before us have lived, like, wars, depression, Great Depressions, famine.
Well, this is a good segue to what I want to ask you after. Right now. I want to talk about fear.
Yeah.
And you have an interesting relationship with fear.
Yeah.
I was listening to one of the podcasts that you did, and one of the things that he says is fear is a driving force for you.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a bit of fear, would all be down at Bondi Beach every day, sitting on the beach.
Margaritas.
Pina coladas.
Margaritas. That'd be nice.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with fear, because I feel maybe it's from the outsider conversations that we've had, is that you push it to the limit, or at least close to the limit, where maybe that ignites a fire under you to then keep going. But that is an outsider view. I'd love to hear from your side in terms of your relationship with fear and how you use fear.
I think it's developing a resilience to not being comfortable.
We've talked about that a couple of times today. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, show me a trust fund kid that's, got $100 million in the bank, and I'll show you someone that it's probably not going to be all that successful. It's probably the truth. Like, I'm not being disrespectful to any trust fund kid out there that's got $100 million in the bank. And, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would swap places with them and they wouldn't swap places with a lot of people. So, highly respectful to everyone, but
you're pissing off a lot of big people.
I'm sorry.
Careful, Nick.
Look, and I think they would all agree. I think coming from a baseline where, everything is upside. I think coming from a baseline where you have no option. I think coming from a baseline where people talk about, failure. Like, we fail, I fail, we all fail every day, and that's okay. But, you've got to continue to move towards, a place that you deem as being successful. And I think when you aren't scared to fail, or when you have nothing to lose, and that changes as you get older, and we just spoke about having a child or, growing this business, like, I think my tolerance to risk has changed, of course. Yeah. I think it has to change, because I've got a child and he's, I want, this is a complex subject, because, it's one of those things where, I'm sure every generation wants to give the next generation more than what they had. But, in that that's a problem, because some of these things that, we've had to struggle for, I've had to struggle for, people around me have had to struggle for, that gives you the resilience and gives you the...
It's who you are.
Yeah. And so...
Versus a trust fund kid, right?
Yeah. I guess we're all, when I say we're all, I think that's a common fear, that you don't want to create, you want to create more doers in the world. And I think that's important.
But Nick, let me come back to the fear, right? To the concept.
Am I trying to circumvent the question?
Oh, that's fine. We'll bring you back. Right? That's why I'm here. But are there times that you would sit back and you're like, oh, I'm too comfortable. Let me just start some fire. Let me just
twist it a bit.
Introduce that element of fear, so I get the cogs turning again. Is that a thing for you?
I think I need it. Yeah.
You need it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I think, to be brutally frank, a healthy fear of failure is typically the thing that drives, fairly Herculean effort. And, if you can maintain that, I think, when I say maintain that, I guess from a life perspective, if it doesn't overtake your life and you can manage it, manage that sort of, that fear, or manage that, drive, then it's...
Do you have ways to manage it?
Exercise for me has been vital.
Because you were in sports even.
Yeah, as a kid. Yeah. And my relationship with exercise has changed over the years, and that's fine. Back to that food pyramid of things that are really important to me. It's not number one and it's not number two, but it's part of the strategy that most people who go fast have to maintain some equilibrium in their life.
Tell me about the regimen. What does that look like for you? How do you incorporate exercise? A certain type of exercise. Are you like all crazy about it? I got to do cold plunges and
the thing that I'm obsessed with is being the best father that I can and running the best business that I can. I'm obsessed, absolutely obsessed. But you talk about people that are doing 3 sessions a day and cold plunges, and they're effectively on track for the Olympics in 2032. It's like that's a form of obsession also. Like, let's not you can't. So I think it's just for me, my relationship with exercise has changed. I.e., I'm less concerned with how I look on Bondi Beach in the middle of summer, and more, and some of that is also thanks to my dad, who's he's 76'2" and still looks like genetically some of that stuff. I'm lucky, I probably don't have some of the everyone has different stuff, right? For me, it's actually exercise has continued to be part of my life because it helps me sleep. It regulates, helps regulate emotion. I run a bit, so I don't I used to sort of run longer distances now, not so much. My attention span's never been great, but so like for me, 30, 40 minutes out running is like
Is that every day?
No, it's like I'll do 3 a week.
3 days.
And I think for me, again, everyone's got to find the thing. And if it's for you, if it's cold plunges and that stuff, like wonderful, go for it, do it. Like do what you need to do to regulate yourself and to turn up, with energy, enthusiasm, drive, desire, all those wonderful characteristics. But for me, it's just about having 30 or 40 minutes of meditative time on my own.
So you'd be running, or you'd be hitting the gym?
No, I run. Yeah,
run.
Yeah. And I do a bit of boxing. I don't box as much as I used to, but again, it's another form of. It's probably a bit more high intensity, but like for me, running, or if I use that as a proxy, like it's. If I was in Geelong yesterday, I'm in Melbourne today with you, I'll go back to Adelaide tonight. Like really, like I can pack a pair of runners and like I can run anywhere, like it's actually a wonderful form of exercise for me where, it helps me sleep, helps me regulate. And, I think it's a nice solitary thing to do in an environment where I'm probably surrounded by people, 90% of the time.
Last question I want to ask.
Yeah.
Where are we going with FX? What's the plan moving forward? There are obviously a couple more acquisitions coming down the pipeline.
The business has never gone better. So we've done a few deals. So we have this strategy from an acquisition perspective. When you think about why acquire businesses, and back to that conversation we had, we acquire businesses because we like the geography, we like the capability, and we like certain verticals. There's vertical. When I say verticals, like there's markets out there that we really like and we're really good at. And so for us, it's about thinking about those 3 things and being very purposeful, very deliberate, and very strategic about the things we buy now. And we've become really good at it. Like we've actually got an M&A machine at work. Like we put these things in, we bring the people in, we love the people, we love the culture, we embrace founders. That's something that I've found, this is something we haven't talked about, but like in the past, bringing founders into our business has been unsuccessful. We do that now really well.
Right.
And that's just a size thing, like the bigger your business gets, the more capability you need, the more leadership you need. Like we've become
more room for growth for the founder.
Wonderful. Yeah. And we've done that really well recently on a few deals. So, really focused on geography, really focused on verticals, really focused on people and capability. We want all those things. So we just did a deal in Adelaide in June, July. It's been really successful, wonderful business. We then went and purchased a business in Geelong, which for us, sort of secures that geography in regional Victoria that we've worked so hard to build. We're already in places like Bendigo, Ballarat, Shepparton, Mildura. This just builds on that foundation. We just closed a deal in Canberra that I'm really proud of. Wonderful business, like just great founders. They've both come on board. Great capability, great geography.
Are you saying Australia, or are you going beyond Australia?
Yeah,
or at least
they've got a small presence in New Zealand. So like we've always thought about New Zealand as being really interesting. I think it's not something that we'll get to in this horizon, and like I'll talk to this horizon, but it's definitely something that we in Horizon 2 or the next thing we'll do New Zealand, because New Zealand effectively is.
What is the Horizon 1 timeline?
Yeah, Horizon timeline, like
3 years, 5 years.
No. I'm thinking like end of this financial year.
Oh, right, that's Horizon.
Oh yeah.
Oh, brother.
This is FX.
Wow.
We don't like.
That's big.
So we've just done Canberra, which I'm really proud of. Like
we're talking 3 months.
Absolutely. No, oh, sorry, not calendar year, financial year.
Oh,
so get me through to June.
I see. Yeah, got it.
I'm not going as fast as you are.
Okay.
It's
like, Jesus.
Here we go.
Horizons quarterly.
I mean, we're going to be in Perth in this month, which is wonderful. We've done a deal in Perth that I'm really proud of, and that just closes the gap on the. We become truly a national business in about 2-3 weeks, which I'm really proud of. Again, great business, great founders, great they're in mining and all these wonderful verticals that we're so bullish on, and we're already in currently in sort of in regional Queensland. Perth's obviously been a very important part of the strategy. We're going to then buy another business in Sydney, which another deal I'm very proud of and looking forward to doing. Very medically focused. Again, one of the verticals that we're just so bullish on is just medical, and the use case for and the importance for specialisation for customers like that. Such a tight-knit industry, and that industry knowledge and experience is so important. So that'll give us a huge ability to scale and grow in that space, not only in the business we're buying, but in every town that we operate in. Like there's 100 doctors and 100 specialists and 100 hospitals, and we can go and target those people. We are we at that point are the experts in from a medical perspective in Australia. In that mid-market space.
I love the laser-focused approach. That is so good.
Yeah. So no, look, it's we're busy. That's not a word that I like using, but we have a lot to do. We've got a great team, and we've got a good strategy. And now, the deals are there, the deals are done, and we've just got to execute and just
happens. Now it's all about speed.
It's all about speed.
It's all about your sweet spot.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We do that stuff. This financial year. What does H2 look like? Like, sure, let's go to New Zealand. I think for the moment, we've spent a lot of money. We've entered a lot of new geographies. We've got a lot of new great capability. We've got deep expertise in the business now in all those key verticals. So, what does good look like? It's like, well, you just want the business to be the best it can be, like a child. You want you got a child. Like, what do you want for your child? Well, you just want the child to be the best it can be. Whatever that is, it doesn't matter. And for the business, it's the same. So I think I think we're set up for
an interesting ride.
An interesting ride in the future.
Nick, this is the third time we had you on the podcast, and just like the first time, it was amazing.
Yeah,
great conversation. I really appreciate how candid and open you are about certain conversations that other people might shy away from. I enjoy that from every single time we sit down and have a chat. So just want to say thanks so much for coming on the podcast again.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Today's episode of Growth Colony was produced by Liza Maywald and Alexander Hipwell. It was edited by Alexander Hipwell, with additional editing by Liza Maywald and music arrangement by Liza and Alexander. Special thanks to Tina Wabe. We couldn't make this show without you. This episode was hosted by Shahin Hoda, Director of Growth at Xgrowth. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to know more about Growth Colony, check out our newsletter and subscribe with the link in the pod description. Do you think you'd be a great guest or just interested in a chat? Send through an email at podcast@xgrowth.com.au. That's podcast@xgrowth.com.au. Or fill out the form in the description. That's all for now. We'll catch you next week right here on Growth Colony.